Sup guys, this is Phoenix with Heinkel He-51 C-1 version, the first German biplane, the started vehicle in the R3. And today we are talking about the question, is this shit worth it? Should you bother with it? Is it worth spending time on it? Yeah, so this is the first video on planes, so I will explain how my videos about aircraft will look. So basically they will be split into three parts. This is because planes and the aerialistic mode are way more complicated than the ground realistic battles. In ground battles you just go, you shoot, boom boom, puff puff, you kill enemies, they kill you and GG. With planes, if you don't know what you are doing, then you will have to suffer a lot, you will constantly get owned if you are clueless. It's not that bad in an arcade, but in realistic mode it will be so, and it will pain you because there's only one spawn available. So, again, the first part will be on the flight characteristics of each plane. The second part will be me getting into a battle, a realistic battle, and I will show that to you from the start, since the takeoff, because I need some part of the video to let me talk about the history of the plane a bit, and that's a very good opportunity to do just that. Well, I will perhaps include several battles, one for sure, maybe more, and then the third part will be ground RB. So I will take the plane with my tanks lineup and show you how it performs there. But I'm not sure yet if I will do it for each plane, because not all planes are meaningful to do this, especially those that have no high caliber cannons and no payload. It's kind of pointless. Okay, so that's it for the introduction today. Now let's talk about the flight characteristics of this thing. So the first thing, everyone probably wants to know about guns first, or at least guns are the most interesting, right? So this little junk has, I think, two machine guns. Yeah, two machine guns here in the nose. There are 7, I think, .92mm machine guns, so one of the lower machine guns, lowest caliber machine guns in the game, and probably the lowest German. At least before Cold War. So yeah, they are pea shooters, they are garbage. But at tier 1 you don't really need anything better than this, you can make do with garbage. Yeah, so their accuracy is actually not that bad. They are more accurate than some heavier cannons on German planes, for example. They are more accurate than 20s and 30s. As you can see, they are placed in the nose, so there's no need to bother with convergence. You just go, you shoot, and you hit what you want. Or at least that's what you are supposed to make happen. If you have shit aim, then I'm not taking responsibility for what I just said. The power of those machine guns is, well, crap. I would have to check the exact value, but I think the penetration rate of the best rounds that you can access is probably somewhere like 11 or 12 millimeters at most from up close. Yeah, in a very good angle, so basically in ideal conditions. This is good against biplanes. This is also good against unprotected tracks like this little shit there. Come on, you're supposed to be good against it. Alright, better. Funny, gas AA without any machine gun in the back. So as I was saying, against tracks and biplanes it will work. Against monoplanes, that is planes with just a single wing, you will have to put in more effort and you will have to focus on hitting critical components. For example, aiming for the pilot. That's what I do when I'm flying this crap. So regarding ammo, I will have to... Okay, let's jump out for a while and let y'all have a look at the ammo. So we have a large supply, as you can see, 1,000 rounds, so half a thousand to each round. And as for belts, well, to be honest, they are all underwhelming. Oh, yeah, see that it's around 9 millimeters of penetration to 30 millimeters. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what you are using. I suppose incendiary bullets will deal better against biplanes because they are prone to fire, including this one. Meanwhile, armor-piercing rounds may be better against actual monoplanes, so actually any plane that isn't a biplane. But then again, as you can see, Universal not only has more armor-piercing rounds, but also more incendiary rounds, so you don't have to bother with the default belt. You can take tracer rounds, but there's no incendiaries here, so also, as you can see, it's not even the best kind of armor-piercing tracer because it's worse penetration. Yeah, so this is good if you want to snipe pilots and so on, but otherwise you don't bother. Stealth is something that you just have to get used to. If you are used to it, then you will be doing well with it. If not, then, well, can't help you with this. Okay, so I suppose we can jump back into our test drive, or rather test flight. Yes, so next, muzzle velocity of those machine guns is pretty good. The ammo won't really fall quickly like things like 20 and 30 mils, the German planes. So you have better accuracy in the long range. Next, the rate of fire, as you can see, is pretty high. However, this also means that the guns can jam. If you pay attention, I'm zoomed in to let you see it better. There's a red circle that starts to appear around the aiming reticle. That closer it gets to being complete, the more likely it is that your guns will jam, or rather, they will jump the moment the circle is completed. Yeah, so you have to watch out for this. You have to watch out for this with many guns. Those are not really the worst offender, but it may happen if you get caught in the heat of a moment. Yeah, so the overall effectiveness of this machine guns is they are not really that bad, but they are not good either. You probably won't do any damage to actual tanks. They will just shrug off your little pea shooter like it's nothing. Also, heavily armored bombers and attackers are quite likely to shrug off your machine gun fire easily as well. Alright, let's do some climb, because soon we are going to talk about speed and such. Yeah, so regarding weaponry, we also have a bit of payload available. We can take 6 50 kilo bombs, which are honestly nothing great, and they're difficult to use. You have to exactly hit the enemy target in order to blow it up, especially if it's a tank. You have to exactly drop the bomb on him to make it an actual kill, otherwise you probably won't even deal any serious damage. I personally use bomb fuse delay, which means that the bomb will explode only 1 or 2 seconds after it hits the ground. I recommend that because it's easier to aim that way. However, it also means that if enemy tank is on the move, he's more likely to dodge the bomb, especially when it's such a small bomb like this. So I will show you the bombs in action later. As you might have seen, I have half of my modifications unlocked, and I just played one battle, got 2 kills and a few ground targets, unlocked half of the modifications right away. I mentioned this because it will let you know that it's not hard to spay this thing, to unlock it and all that. Yes, I'll show it to you later, but it's not really all that good. You should just take a normal bomber. Also, pay note that this is the third of, I think, 4 versions of Heinkel He-51 that we have in the game, or is it the 4th one? I don't really remember. It might be the 4th one. It's the one that isn't a reserve vehicle, which means that you have to bother to unlock it. At least the first 2 versions of Heinkel He-51 have no payload, so they are garbage in that regard. I took this one precisely because it has payload and because you have to unlock it. So it has something more to show than the other versions. Yeah, so that would be it for weaponry. Next, survivability. Well, bad news here, this thing has no armor, no protection, the pilot, as you can see, is completely exposed. Furthermore, this plane is covered by fabric, it's not even wood, so it's very flammable. Overall, it's very easy to kill a biplane, and even more so when it's a Heinkel He-51. So, however, the biplane is very agile, so the main defense that you are going to rely on is your agility. Let me see. Yeah, that would be pretty much it regarding that. The plane won't really be handling that poorly when it's damaged, because, well, it's a biplane, so there's a lot of redundancies, so to say. Even if one wing is damaged somewhere, then you've still got enough surface to keep you afloat, albeit it's not all that good either. So if you won't pay attention, you can crash because you will not get enough lift, and if you get too close to the ground, it will be GG for you. Yeah, as you can see, it's such crap that it takes a bit of time to kill even a truck. So when I'm talking about survivability, I also have to tell you about rip speeds. So first of all, you can go until 550 kilometers per hour with this thing. This is the speed at which it will be torn apart by wind and so on. The maximum speed of this thing is lower than that, so 500 is something you will only ever get in a dive, and it will be a long dive as well. Also, when I'm talking about 550 kilometers per hour, take note that I mean indicated airspeed. Since I'm talking about this, and this is the first episode, I might as well explain the difference. You have 2 kinds of speed, which is TAAs and IAAs. IAAs is indicated airspeed. What T stood in the other thing, I don't really know. Oh, I know, okay, it's true airspeed, I remembered. So true airspeed is only important, so this one, the lower one, I'm using it because I'm used to it, but this is something you only need to navigate. So for example, if you know the distance on the map, then you will know how you are moving, how fast you are moving towards the target, and you can calculate that. However, 99.9% of players won't ever bother with this shit, so you can just focus on indicated airspeed. Indicated airspeed is the speed your plane's instruments are showing you, and this is basically about how fast you are moving within the air that surrounds you. So, as I understand it, the true airspeed is the cumulative speed of you and the air that surrounds you. So let's say that I'm going, let's use the current example. As you can see, there's a difference of around 7 kilometers per hour. And I'm moving slower within this air than compared to the surface of the Earth. So I'm guessing that it means that the wind that is pushing me is around 7 kilometers per hour fast. So if I was going against wind, then my indicated airspeed would be higher than my actual airspeed when seen from the surface of the ground. Again, for rip speed, for maneuvers, for flaps, you only want to care about indicated airspeed. And speaking of this, let's talk about flaps. So we have all flaps here: combat, takeoff and landing. Those flaps are very good. They are better than on most German fighters from the World War II era. So wait, let me think. I think combat flaps rip at over 490 kilometers per hour. Takeoff flaps rip at, I think, around 450 kilometers per hour, and landing flaps rip at, I think, 310 or so, or 320, which is more or less your maximum speed as well, by the way. The flaps are very good on this. You can use them when you are in a pinch to make your turn better. It really does a lot. The lower you go with the flaps, so combat is highest, takeoff is middle, landing is the lowest, the more you get in terms of boost to your turning ability. However, it also means that the more speed you will bleed at the same time, so take note of this. Also, whenever you're using flaps, it's not really the case on this plane because it's slow, but on faster planes you have to keep watch of your speed and of your indicated airspeed and make sure you are not going above the rip speed of your flaps. You have to have a general idea of what the speed at which your flaps break is. Otherwise, you will eventually rip your flaps during battle, and then your handling will be even worse. It's maybe not that palpable on a biplane, but on planes with just one wing, it will really be apparent. Let me see. So that will be pretty much it regarding survivability. Right, let me just speak about weak points. So everything is a weak point on this thing, just don't get hit. The worst weak point is the pilot, because there's no protection. Like, there's some sheet glass in front of him, but it doesn't do anything. The best armor that you have in this plane is engine, which will protect your pilot a bit at the right angle, because it's so blocky. However, if your engine is done for, then you are done for too, unless you are close enough to the airfield to glide back. So don't get your engine damaged either. Like I said earlier, this plane is covered in fabric, so it's very easy to set in on fire. It doesn't help that the fuel below the pilot, the fuel tank, cannot be sealed. Some planes have self-sealing fuel tanks, which will seal after a while, which means that you will stop losing fuel and that you will stop being on fire in some cases, at least. When I mean, it not always works, but sometimes it does. This is better than no such thing. Yeah, so again, everything is vulnerable. It's very easy to snap a biplane's wings with a high caliber cannon. 50 cal is probably enough to make you miserable. The only thing you don't have to worry about losing is the gear. As you can see, it's intractable, or was the word retractable? One way or another, you cannot retract your gear. Good news is that it won't break sooner than your wings. Bad news is that it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so if someone shoots off your gear, that you don't have to worry about it. It's about the only extent of damage that you can take without worrying. Yeah, so that was it for survivability. Now let's talk about speed. Yeah, so the acceleration on this thing, as you can see, it exists. It exists, but it sucks balls. Regarding maximum speed, this vehicle, as I said earlier, is not spaded, but the maximum speed of a fully unlocked vehicle is 310 km per hour. When it's stock, it's probably something around 280. Yeah, so we are not far from maximum speed. Of course, if you go lower instead of being in level flight or climbing, then your speed will accelerate more. Next, this plane doesn't have WEP. WEP, in other words, that red throttle over 100%, which is wartime emergency power. So each plane has set. Okay, Many planes have such ability, but this one does not, so you cannot squeeze out more power out of your engine in a pinch. You have to deal with what you have here. Next, regarding stall speed, let's check it out, but it's pretty low. I think the stall speed should be somewhere around 100 km per hour. And remember that when you use flaps, the stall speed gets lower. So for example, we are doing 120 and we still have enough lift to roll and maneuver. Yeah, 110. Okay, let's go to... Am I falling down? Not quite. Alright, we are at 100 kilometers per hour. Okay, 90 kilometers per hour more or less is where this plane starts acting funny. So that probably is around it for the stall speed. However, let's try it with landing flap, which provide the biggest boost to your ability to stay in the air. Yeah, as you can see, the stall speed improved somewhat. It's more like 80 kilometers per hour or something like that. Next, regarding energy attention, honestly guys, don't ask me to buy planes. It doesn't really matter, you only have to turn in this. Therefore, I will not mention it. I only mentioning it because I will talk about it at this exact point in future videos in planes that have it as a relevant point. Yeah, so the climb rate on this thing is just garbage. Well, just look at this. I climb at say 10 degrees and it's slowing down a lot. I mean, you have low stall speed, so it doesn't matter all that much. You probably don't want to climb at any high speeds with this, but check this out. 200 kilometers per hour and I'm climbing quite slowly. Let's count. This is like 1, 2, yeah, at most 10 meters per second. Nothing really great. Probably all monoplanes are going, that is planes with single wing, are going to outclimb you, therefore don't even bother to climb. Next, regarding altitude and the performance of your engine, I honestly haven't noticed much of a difference. However, firstly, it's pretty difficult to climb high, so I guess that the best performance probably somewhere low. And secondly, your maximum speed is achievable at I think 4 kilometers in altitude, which already is an indication that this plane isn't good at dealing with high altitude. I don't know what its maximum sailing is, but probably something like 6 kilometers maybe. Maybe it will be possible to see it on the stat sheet. We'll see in a moment. Yeah, so the next part, normally I would mention manual engine controls, but well, as you can see, there are some possibilities. You can change your mixture, you can adjust your radiator, but that's pretty much it. And honestly, this is a biplane, there's no point in using it. I think manual engine controls is only relevant at something like rank 3, maybe rank 2 in some planes. This is mostly an issue for American planes. The only thing regarding manual engine control that you are going to care about is radiator anyway in German planes. Alright, so next, fuel. The minimum load of fuel in this plane is 31 minutes. Do not ever take more than that, there is literally no reason to. It will only make your plane heavier and more difficult to maneuver. It will be sluggish. The difference may not be big, but sometimes a small difference is enough to decide victory and defeat, so don't bother. As you can see, the fuel burns very slowly. This is something that has to do with mixture, among other things, because mixture is basically controlling the ratio of fuel to air in your engine by controlling air intake or something, so it directly affects power and also fuel consumption. Yeah, I don't know why, but this fuel just isn't going down. Maybe it's because I'm flying high or something, no clue. Yeah, so that's it for speed. Now let's talk about agility. So as you can see, this thing is extremely nimble. That's what you want to use against all your enemies. Just make sure they don't make you fly too slowly, because you'll be a sitting duck at that point regardless of your agility. So I think you don't want to go beyond some 160 to let's say 150 to 180 kilometers per hour in a dogfight. It also depends on how agile your opponent is, how fast he is, and whether there's anyone around you. Remember, in RRB you have to have good situational awareness, and always, let's say every half a minute, pay attention when there's someone close to you. In propeller plane tiers, as long as there's no one within 5 kilometers of you, you are good. If someone is below 4 kilometers within your radius, then you should start paying attention to them seriously. Well, and biplane tier, it's going to be more like 3 kilometers, I guess, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's talk about agility in more detail. So as you can see, roll is excellent on this thing. I think it may change a bit with speed. Okay, so it's even better at lower speed, but I think it was because I used flaps. In other words, flaps improve roll rate on this. The turn ability is also great, and again flaps will improve it tremendously. See how it suddenly became much faster at turn? That's what I'm talking about. Next, the rudder on this thing, as you can see, is fairly strong. There's nothing really to bother with, but if you are using mouse mode, then you may have some trouble when aiming, because your plane will start rolling. But this is mostly an issue with some American planes, such as P-51, whose rudder is completely screwed up. Yeah, so pretty much mentioned the flaps and their effects. This is a biplane, so the speed won't really affect your agility too much, but let's climb up a bit and then dive down at some high speed and see how it affects it. And I will come back to this in a moment when I have enough altitude to try it out. Let's say 1 kilometer. By the way, 1 kilometer is around 3,000 feet for any American viewers who are confused. Sorry, but I will stick to the units I am familiar with and can use with familiarity and ease. Next. So I don't think the altitude really affects your agility, but at high altitudes, if your engine is going to lose power, then this will indirectly affect your agility, so there's that. Next, there are no features that improve your agility in any way. You cannot unlock anything like a G-suit or anything like this. Yeah, G-suit is more something like 3rd or 4th tier, I think 3rd, of American planes. I'm not sure if any German pre-Cold War era planes have it. Yeah, there are no additional features on this plane, so don't look for any. Okay, let's now fly down and have a look at the agility. Yeah, as you can see, we are crossing maximum speed. The roll rate, it's not really affected. The agility, it's not really affected either, but we are pulling some relatively high Gs. Yeah, if you continue doing with that overload thing, then eventually your pilot will black out. Therefore, pay attention to it. A good way to mitigate it is to tap your keyboard to go in an opposite direction. So, for example, I will show it to you in a horizontal instead of the in the vertical, because instead of the horizontal, because it will be faster. So basically, if you were to go like this, and then instead of just going upwards all the time, just tap your keyboard in the opposite direction sometimes, and this will help you deal with overload. Alright, as you noticed a moment ago, there's fuel starvation. in this plane. This is a feature that some older planes have. Yeah, see this here. Namely, if you pull your engine too high up, it will die, and you will have to pull your nose down to make the engine work again. Alright, I suppose that's pretty much it. I think I've covered everything. Yeah. Right, so this would be it for the part 1. It ended up being quite long, but this is because this is the first video of this kind, so I am explaining a lot of basics to you. A lot of basics including how my videos will look. So there's a lot of extra explanations included. In later videos I will try to be more concise in my explanations and just stick to talking about pure data. Alright, now we're taking a break and see you in a battle. Alright guys, welcome back. As you can see, the minimum load is just 30 minutes. Alright, I'm going to play big and take stealths. I'm not taking bombs for now, we'll see later. Alright, so let's talk about the history first, while I'm getting to the battlefield. So this plane was designed, if I got it right, in 1932. It was designed by Günther brothers who worked for Heinkel. And they also designed this Heinkel 100 next to me, Heinkel 112 that's in the squad with me, and some other Heinkels such as the famous bomber Heinkel 111 and at least 2 jet Heinkels. I think one was 168 and the other 172 or 4 or something. Yeah, so those 2 guys, they were pretty famous in their circles, so to say. One of the brothers died in 1937, the other one lived on and contributed to projects such as Heinkel 162 and 177 and some other Heinkel plane yet that I don't really remember. I won't bother mentioning them again probably though, just in this video. So they designed this plane in 1932. It started flying next year and was produced I think either in 1933 or 34. Officially it was a trainer aircraft, but it was actually a fighter. It was relatively modern for that time, and it took part in Spanish Civil War. Partly the Spanish fascists flew it, and partly German volunteers in Legion Condor. So initially it did well, because the Republicans, or should I say Spanish Republican fighters, were pretty obsolete at the time. But very soon the Republicans got Polikarpov fighters, that is I-15, I-16, and they did short work of Heinkels. Also Republicans got SB bombers from Russia as well. Yeah, see, did him some damage, but didn't really do much to him. And those guys almost killed me, lol. Yeah, see, this is an attacker. I mentioned earlier that attackers are going to be a tough nut to crack for you. Alright, there's Cloud there. Let's go get it. A5M. Yeah, so basically, despite the initial successes in the fight overall, Heinkel He-51 very quickly found itself being used as garbage, because it basically couldn't defeat the Soviet fighters, and it couldn't catch up with a much faster Soviet bomber. What, this guy, that was so risky. Or is he actually trying to crash into me? Alright, let's ignore. Yeah, as you can see, with stealth belts you need some idea of where you are shooting. You need some experience to pull that off. Come on. Yeah, of course. Everyone's stealing. And it's gonna end up being an assist. Okay, let's pull the flaps. Okay, let's... Yeah, and also look at this CR-32. This was the plane that replaced this Heinkel He-51 in the fighter role. Alright, I'm not too happy about the stealth, but can't really deal any serious damage to anyone. Yeah, so basically Heinkel He-51 was very quickly removed from the fighter role, and it was used as an attack plane. Actually, you might be familiar with... Oh shit! It's not me. Alright, fortunately the fire I set him on did its thing at last. Yeah, so anyway, as I was saying, during the Spanish Civil War, Adolf Galland, a famous German fighter ace, was flying Heinkel He-51 in the ground role. Actually, he designed tactics for ground attack for Luftwaffe. Well, to be exact, 2 other officers would later peruse and parse his reports, let's call it like that. And one of them proposed to use fighter bombers, and the other one proposed to use dive bombers. So yeah, the first one was basically the reason why some 109s have bombs, and the other one made Stuka happen, basically. I think it was called Richthofen. Shit! This guy got me well, but fortunately he's a tier 1 noob. But as you can see, I cannot really catch up with him. And there's some other Hamden dude. And there's also the Spanish Civil War nemesis of Heinkel, which is I-16 there. Alright, let's challenge him. Yeah, so that was pretty much the history during the Spanish Civil War. There were, I think, 700 Heinkel He-51s of all versions produced together, and they were pretty much removed from frontline combat in any form in 1938 with this guy. Whoa. Let's do some dodging, because I cannot take any... Oh shit, another guy. Yeah, as you can see, this guy is way faster than me. He can fly up high. Oh. I thought this guy would take longer to get on me, but yeah, see, that's how it goes. However, I still got 3 kills. I can be satisfied with this. Yeah, so that was pretty much the history of Heinkel He-51. After the war, it continued to serve... sorry, after 38, year 38, it continued to serve in the trainer role. At least initially. I think it was completely phased out during the war, somewhere in the middle. And aside from Spain and Germany, also Bulgaria used, I think, 12 of them. They probably got them from Germany. Yeah, so this is it for its history, and be right back in another battle where I will talk about its performance in RRB. Alright guys, we continue. This time I ended up in a small battle. One guy ended up just killing himself. Somehow I don't even know how he died, because there's nothing burning there anyway, but he does have 1 death. Yeah, so let's talk about RRB and Heinkel He-51. So overall, the meta of RRB is very agile biplanes and faster but not as agile monoplanes, which are tougher and usually also better armored, albeit the latter isn't necessarily a rule of a thumb here. This time I took tracers for a change. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, because of the meta, the fights in RRB and SB are somewhat chaotic. Therefore, first of all, the first thing you have to ensure that you are doing when you're playing is that you keep looking around. Oh yeah, see some guy up there, but I don't really have to worry about. Okay, you know what, I'll go for those 2 guys there. One is a biplane, one is a monoplane, but just as a biplane. Where's that Heinkel? Yeah, you also have to pay attention to your allies, to what they are doing, if you can rely on them or not. Honestly, usually cannot ever rely on any stranger in War Thunder, but sometimes there is someone with a good heart, so to say, where their skills can back up this good heart is another matter altogether. But right, let's go back to this guy and take him out before he bleeds our tickets. Yeah, so we are at BR 1.0, so of course down tier isn't possible in any form. Okay, this guy just didn't want to give that guy a kill. He just crashed. This is very toxic behavior. I have to criticize that. Like, since you are going to die anyway, just let guy earn some money. It's not like it's costing you anything. It's not like you're paying out of your pocket. Yeah, so back to the topic. Up tier is something you don't really want to experience in a biplane, especially this one. The faster airplanes are, the easier they have a time at picking you on the picking on you. Basically, it goes like this. You can indeed outturn basically everything with a biplane, but the problem is, alright, let's use my flash because the guy is pretty agile. Yeah, Seat can easily outturn him and just spam until he dies. However, the problem is that if enemy planes are sufficiently fast, then they don't even have to engage with you in a dogfight. They just have to use energy retention tactics to easily dispatch you. Right, I wonder if that F3F is around here. P-36 crashed. That sounds like a trash battle. Yeah, but okay, I had a good battle previously and I just want to finish. I won't even wait until this battle ends. Yeah, so the hardest enemies that you will encounter are those biplanes that are superior to you. So for example, CR-42 Falco is an issue. I-15 is probably also superior to you, at least as I told you earlier, it was superior in history. Whether it's actually superior in War Thunder is not something I can tell you because I haven't flown in a dogfight against that thing anytime recently. But yeah, your main problem is going to be players who know what they are doing, because a lot of players here are noobs, and spanking noobs is an easy thing in RRB 101, sorry, 1.0. So when they know what they are doing, especially if they have a faster plane than yours and there's nobody to bail you out, then you're probably going to suffer unless you are extremely good at dodging. So again, your base defense in this plane is evasive maneuvers. Next, so the tactics I advise is firstly keep low. There's no point in climbing in this thing, just wait for enemies to fly down. Alright. Yeah, just like this guy who was previously quite high up. Right, so I think it was. Oh, would you look at this? Right. A noob advice: don't ever get closer than 3-4 kilometers within enemy airfield. The AA is back in strength and it will easily dice you into pieces. Right, I'm not sure if I will have a chance at that SB. Oh, but he's still alive. And he's not paying attention to me. Yeah, so this is biplanes, cheap to repair and all that. The maps are small, so you can be a bit reckless with it. Like me not caring about that guy's rear gunner. There's no real problem with it. Also, the fights are pretty chaotic in the first place, so yeah, okay, I will try to get that guy, but he's pretty high. If I was flying a monoplane, flying fast, I could have picked up by now, but this is going to be tough. So, okay, let's try before he reaches his airfield. Nope, no can do. I could do this in a rank 2 or 3 aircraft when going fast, but not in this thing. I think he's gonna camp airfield because we have a numerical advantage. So I will just go away and wait for a while. Yeah, so for tactics again, what you want to use is use your superior agility against enemies. If you can, catch them unawares and aim for their critical components. Not sure if you have noticed, but or if it was even noticeable in the first place, but I was always trying to aim for engine or the pilot when I was flying this thing today. Yeah, so the advanced tactics are pretty much it. Don't overcomplicate it, just play to the strengths of your vehicle. Avoid your weaknesses, avoid being outnumbered even if you have superior agility, because it's pretty easy to get killed. Alright, I'm not sure if that guy will keep on. Okay, let's see. I'll go below him to make him fly down. Alright, if enemies are high above you in a biplane, then make sure you have relatively high speed so that you can use evasive maneuvers well and try to bait them low and then just dodge when they are coming. You can dive yourself too to make sure that you have enough speed to dodge well. You want to dodge somewhere around this distance, I suppose. Where I see somewhere above me. Okay, flaps time. You can utilize some energy retention principles while in dogfights, but there isn't really much need at this noob tier. And this thing, I don't know, is either not as maneuverable as me or I'm just better. Well, then again, I'm more of an instinctive pilot. Sometimes I do very well, sometimes I do shit, so... Yeah, it's dropping bombs, but no, you don't. Yeah, you have to be careful of enemies dropping bombs like this. Sometimes they want you to be taken out by those bombs. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you are an experienced player, then you will do well. If you are good at turn fights, you will do well. Otherwise, it's very easy to get killed in RRB, especially if you don't know what they are, if you don't know what you are doing, and get caught up in a chaotic fight. Alright, be right back. Alright guys, welcome back. I'm messing around behind enemy lines with the recon thing, which is supposedly an SPA, but it's not. I'm not sure if I will include any ground footage like now, but it's just for me to have to start talking about the things that I may not have enough time to talk about when in the air. Yeah, so basically, first of all, I made a small mistake earlier, because the 6 bombs that Heinkel He-51 can carry are 10 kilo bombs only. Yeah, another reason why I started another reason why I started recording already is that the enemy team is not looking too well. So I may not have enough time before they croak. Alright, let's YOLO and quickly get them to finish me off. Yeah, so... Woo! Crazy! Can I get one at least? Can I drop RT on him? I can. Alright. Let's do some crazy stuff. Oh, there was a guy here. Yeah, so... Another thing that I have forgotten to mention is that, as you can see, there's a certain cost to payload, meaning that your performance, your flight performance suffers. First of all, the max speed is lowered. Second of all, climb rate is lowered. Third of all, turn rate is lowered. This is the case for most planes with payload, especially lighter ones that don't have internal bomb bay. However, as you can see, we have small, tiny little booms, so it doesn't really matter. The performance penalty is minimal. Right, so first let's talk about the effectiveness of this vehicle in ground pounding crawl, or in general in ground RB. So if you want to play it as a fighter, you will do well enough, because more most planes that enemy will dispatch will be focused on ground targets, or they will be simply bombers. So it won't be that difficult to kill them if you know what you are doing. However, this plane was used in a ground attack role, but it's garbage, to be frank, because the machine guns can only deal with unarmored targets, and with bombs you have to have a godlike accuracy to actually do some damage. Therefore, I advise against using it against moving targets like this one. Just to illustrate, I will drop my bomb with 2 seconds. Yeah, see? It exploded right next to him and dealt literally no damage at all. Alright, let's try. Now I'm using machine guns. This guy basically has no armor, so I could hurt his crew. Ooh, I actually bombed him to hell, nice. Yeah, so it's not that this thing's payload is completely... Whoa! Dropped some bombs. Did I hit? Nope, totally missed. So it's not like this is completely ineffective in the ground attack role, but it's extremely tricky. It requires a lot of skill. Alright, it's my penultimate bomb. Yeah, see? Anything but a very carefully measured bombing results in a miss. Also, because this is a biplane and it's fragile, you have to be extremely careful so that you see this. It's very easy for enemies to shoot you down. Alright, frankly speaking, I don't really want to bother anymore with this garbage, and I have something to say in the hangar, so might as well just finish there. Yeah, so the main threats you will face in ground RB are firstly enemy fighters if they bother with you, and secondly practically everything in this plane can shoot you down. Especially American tanks are a major threat to you because they have 50 cals, and 50 cal can shred through biplanes like hot knife through butter. That would be it for the main threats. As I said, you have a decent chance of reaching your target and surviving the bombing yourself if you know what you are doing. You have to make sure you pay attention to where the fire from the ground is coming from, make sure that there are no enemy planes, and if there are, that you are monitoring their movements, and that they are not coming onto you. If they are, then you have to focus on them first, but do not forget that the enemy team will fire at you from the ground because they all see you from down there, but you don't necessarily see them from above because there are no icons on your HUD in realistic battles for the enemies. Also, I will only mention it once, but remember not to bomb your teammates because while generic friendly fire is off in ground RB, it is on for bombs and probably for rockets as well. You can in theory survive and return to the base, but this is a very slow thing, so I think it makes more sense to just kamikaze with your last bomb into an enemy. Also, we have, I think, 5 versions of Heinkel He-51, 1 premium and 3 here. None of them has any better payload. The best they can do is those 6 garbage bombs. Okay, so if you want to, you can take it into higher BR, but honestly, if I were you, I would just replace it with, well, at least this one for ground attack role. You have at least 1 250 kilogram bomb and 4 50 kilogram bombs, which are better than your garbage 10 kilo bombs. So yeah, just don't suffer. The only good thing about this is that if you know what you're doing, you can spade this thing into RRB battles, which I did for the sake of this video. Next, yeah, so the short summary overall is that it's a good fighter if you know what you are doing, but it requires you to pay a lot of attention to your surroundings. In the ground RB role, it is very tricky to play. You have to have a lot of skill, especially with bombing, if you want to take down any targets. You can just strafe enemy vehicles, yes, but probably only trucks and open top vehicles are going to well, be likely kills for you. Just like with the track I took down, that the same track that took me down just a moment ago. So even if you strafe enemies, you still have to pay attention to the ground fire. Yeah, so let me see the tactics in ground RB that I would recommend you. Yeah, you can just strafe and bomb, but you have to constantly move around. Don't move in a straight line, whereas you will be easy to take down with. You will just make it easy for enemies to aim at you. And remember to constantly have your eyes peeled, constantly surveil the situation around you. You will need it. It's very easy to be taken off guard in ground RB, especially if you are used to the HUD from the aerialistic battles, because in aerialistic battles, enemy fighters will be easily noticed and easily locked onto. But in ground realistic battles, it is completely impossible. Therefore, it's very easy to sneak up on enemies that are unaware of you. Yeah, a quick mention of economy. As you can see, 3 versions are reversed. There's nothing really to talk about. This version, as you can see, has the same research modifier, twice the SL modifier, no inconsequential repair cost that you can completely ignore. Let me bring up some of my battles in this thing with planes. Let me see, Karelia. Okay, that was a ground battle. That Severs, that was a ground battle. Okay, this is with a plane. Yeah, as you can see, I earned without real problem. Again, I earned. However, you are not going to earn any serious money. You are just going to earn repairs and enough money to buy some low tier stuff. Let me think. Do I have any tree where I have some lower stuff I haven't bought yet? Alright, so as you can see, this costs 2000. So 1 or 2 good battles with Heinkel He-51 will pay you for it. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, so overall, the question from the start, my answer is no, you shouldn't really bother with it. Honestly, if you want a fighter, just unlock 109 as soon as possible. It's vastly superior. It's far from as agile, but it's faster. And it generally has better flight performance. As you can see, it's faster by 155 kilometers in terms of maximum speed. It has a lower rate of climb on paper, but honestly, you shouldn't always believe the stat sheets. They are often bullshit. That's one thing. And secondly, with Heinkel 51, you will climb at a speed like below 200 kps, but with 109, you can climb at speeds like 250, 300. And the higher speed you climb at, with the same angle, the faster you will actually climb. The higher the rate of climb will be in practice. The theory doesn't really matter as much here. Alright, the max altitude of this, as mentioned, okay, so it's 8 kilometers. And C-109 has the same ammunition. Well, it doesn't have payload, so. But for payload, you can just take Heinkel 123, which will be very easy to unlock. And see, it even has better economy. Just take Heinkel. Don't bother with this. I suppose the only good thing that it is for is to learn a bit about, say, aerialistic battles and unlock the first and second, maybe a third plane of yours. That's all you really need it for. And I wouldn't really bother unlocking this one because this is not a reserve vehicle. Just stick to reserve. This plane is pointless in ground RB. Alright, thank you guys for watching. It was quite a lengthy video. It seems like this may be a trend for airplane videos, sorry, because as you see, there's much more to say. I think there's like 2 or 3 times as much content on one vehicle compared to tanks, and just notice that I am only talking about some shitty tier 1 thing and not some complicated jet. As you can see, I have a few. So We'll see. We'll see. Those videos may be indeed quite long. Yes, so that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and until the next time.